what we need. So
Yeah, for sure.
Yep.
Well, I know this isn't what we came here to talk about either, but since we're on the subject of getting the offers accepted and it being a competitive market, can you give me 45 seconds on the keys to getting your offer accepted?
Good question. The offer acceptance rate right now, it's kind of hard if the property is sitting on the market for a couple of months and we have an opportunity to even ask the seller to pay the buyer closing cost and plus the agent fees, commission, compensation. So right now it's okay if the properties are sitting for 10 days or more. But if the property just came out on the market right now, the agents actually holding those property in order for them to have what? Multiple offers. So it is a win-win. The agent will make more money and the seller will make more money. But at the end of the day, what makes that number? Appraisal. As appraisal come back and say, certain things, and then the seller, I'm gonna mute you, Mr. Peter, you're moving too much. They consider, if they're gonna pay out of pocket if the appraisal goes up. Like if the appraisal comes, let's say if it is a $300,000 property, but we put an offer for $350,000, who's gonna pay that if the appraisal come back and say still the property worth at $300,000? So there is an appraisal gap that we write when there is, multiple offer. But market right now, it's coming back, and there is no much enough inventory. A lot of people saying that, there will be a foreclosure. I have not seen any foreclosure so far.
Right.
So
well, that's absolutely true. Just with the foreclosure, I think part of that is because since 2008, the restrictions have gotten a lot tighter on lending. So people that can't afford a home aren't able to buy nearly as easily as before. When you're the listing agent and you're in a situation where you have multiple offers,
mm-hmm.
do you, when the appraiser comes out, do you let them know, hey, we had, many people offer this amount, not to try to influence, but just let the appraiser know, I had 6 people that wanted to purchase it at this price, and maybe that'll help the appraisal not come in low, or is that not something that you ever do?
When I received an offer, usually what I do is I'll make it in a spreadsheet, and that can actually give me an idea. First of all, we have to do the market value before we put the property on the market, right? So I usually let my seller know, hey, there is multiple offer. We have 4, and 4 of them, they have this terms. So I have a different terms, that like closing costs is another terms that they usually put in, and then the right now since August 17, what it is in there. Agent has to be paid by the seller, by the buyer. So, and then, an appraisal gap that we check, and all this processing, we check all that. Then I want them to see that, hey, if the property price a certain amount, and if it's not going to be appraised, then we're going to end up having a problem at the end of the sale day. So we have to really look at the numbers. What is close to the listing price, and what are the terms that will, good for my buyer, for my sellers. So, and also, as you guys know, I usually ask you guys in your guys' system if you guys will be able to see, and even this number, is it even worth it for us to take it? Peter usually go in the system and check that what you guys can see as a market value is comparative with what I have. Then we have to do our due diligence. But yeah, it's gonna be crazy.
Yeah, and they, what was I gonna say? FHA, there's been some recent reporting in the last week. They're doing some major restructures for clients, and even multiple, where people get in financial difficulty. So yeah, the whole foreclosure thing, it's because of the law changes with the QM laws. They started back in, I think it was 2010 through 2012 was when they made the big changes. If being able to foreclose, like a lender to foreclose on somebody, they have to, especially as a primary residence, they have to give you so many options. And even back when I was a pre-foreclosure, foreclosure auditor, bankruptcy auditor for the mortgage side of things, they have to do so many things. They have to call you so many times during the week. It has to be during business hours in your time zone. They have to document it. They have to send you so many written correspondence. They can't send too many or call too many times. But if they don't do it enough, then the whole process starts over. So if their servicing department ever makes a mistake, that can reset the whole timeline. So the bank, seeing a ton of foreclosures or even pre-foreclosure situations where people are actually losing their house is probably not going to happen again like it did in 2008.
Yeah,
because that was back when they were basically giving people predatory loans and not really documenting income, not really documenting their financial situation to make sure they can afford the house. So the whole process has changed now, completely changed. And now they're almost the other way, where Nick and I have seen they are being extremely, especially for conventional loans right now, about a little over a month ago, I think now, the entities behind the conventional loans, Fannie and Freddie, they are making a really big deal about income calculations. And so if you're taking time off of work and not using PTO, then they're making us go to your HR and confirm that you're actually scheduled to work full time. And if you're not, let's say you've just been picking up hours, but you're only scheduled to work, nurses and people that work in hospitals is the most common, but they work 0.5 FTE, which is basically 20 hours a week instead of 40. They might pick up shifts every single week. So on their pay stubs, it looks like they work full time. And usually we can use that if it's consistent. But if you've only been doing that for a few months, and then we have to go back and verify with your employer, the lenders are only going to give you credit for that 20 hours a week, even though you've been consistently working 40 hours every week for the last 3 months. So you actually have to have your employer give you a new job offer, basically, and say, all right, we're going to switch positions to now working 30 or 40 hours a week. And then underwriting can use that income. Otherwise, they're going to cut it down. And that's why, I know we're not doing pre-approval stuff today, but that's why the pre-approval is so important. And working with a lender, we all want to hear good news. And on our side of things, it's actually easier to do the process really quick because it's a lot less time for us. So if it takes 20 minutes per client, we can help a lot more people in one day if we only spend 20 minutes on it. The issue is once you find a house, you're planning to move, you're 2-3 weeks out from closing, you're already in your head, you've already, thought, hey, I'm going to get this house. And then the lender comes back to you and says, well, actually you need to put another $10,000 down or 20, or you have to, buy down the rate because now you're not qualifying. There can be a lot of things that come up. And that's why the beginning of the process is so important, that you're working with somebody who does a very good job and checks everything and anticipates any issues that can come up, and then talks to you about it and say, hey, make sure you don't do these things, make sure you do these things, and goes over everything with you. So that way, when you do get the house, you don't have this major letdown, because that's probably the biggest thing is nobody wants to have that frustration and that stress of finding out, week, 2-3 weeks before closing that, things changed and now you got to come up with more money. You got to spend more money. Your payment's going to change. All these different things are going to keep changing. And that's just, you're probably focused more on moving your house, your kids, all those things. So they are being very picky on a lot of things right now. So, because the credit risk is high. Car loan default rates right now are very high, especially with the lower credit scores. So, we're seeing a lot of credit stress is what they call it. Credit card debt is very high right now. So anybody under like a 680 credit score, even, we can still help you, still do it. But the lenders are taking that a lot more into account, and also late payments on your credit report, even if you have a higher credit score, things like that. So it's definitely important to be on top of it right now. Work with people who take it seriously, give you a full analysis, not just a quick, yep, everything looks good. And then later on, they actually dig into it.
Yep. That is exactly what we are planning to talk about today.
Do you have yourself, Ida, or am I just not hearing you?
Oh, yes, I am muted myself. Yes, I am muted. Yes, I'm muted. Muted myself. And we are in YouTube as well today. So I'm going to mute you, Peter. There's some background stuff. So that's why I muted myself when we do this thing. So it's a nice day because Miki is here too today. I think Peter and Michael, you guys met one time over the phone or twice. I don't remember how long, but it feels so good. We have a number of us are here today. We are talking about budget. እንዴት ብለን ነው ለራሳችን ባጀት የምናደርገው? ቤት ስንገዛ how we gonna budget? መኪና ስንገዛ ገንዘባችን እንዴት ነው ባጀት የምናደርገው? So that it's been an issue for a lot of home buyers. What we have is we have always an issue budgeting. If you don't budget for a long period of time, you just don't know exactly what will happen to you after you purchase the property, even while you purchase the property. And there's something that can pop in, so we are talking about budgeting. I have talked about budgeting myself. It's already recorded in my YouTube account. If you guys can go to Gojo Realty, there is an Amharic version of it. Otherwise, today we are here with the professionals, and I would like them to introduce themselves. And Miki surprised us, so we'd love to have you with us. So I will introduce myself. My name is Ida Tazara. I am a licensed real estate agent in the state of Minnesota. And plus, I am a team lead with Gojo Realty. And I have another stuff that I do that I adore and love. I manage properties in the state of Minnesota as well. I am a property manager. Beside that, I will forward it to Nick. He is with Custom Made Mortgage, and Peter is Custom Made Mortgage. So you guys go ahead and introduce your guys self.
Thank you, Ida. Like I just said, my name is Nick with Custom Made Mortgages. Peter and I started this company 3 years ago. We are licensed in the state of Minnesota, but we are happy to help anyone across the entire 50 states of the United States. So yeah, we're here today to talk budgeting. We're very, very excited and really happy to be doing these weekly sessions with Ida. So I'll kick it over to Peter, let him introduce himself as well.
All right. Yep. So like Nick said, started Custom Made Mortgages about a little over 3 years ago. I've been in the industry for like going on 15 years now, I think. Yep. Kind of did everything. So now I'm on the originating side. Nick and I really focused on doing high quality work. That's a big important thing to us. Not that other people don't, but making sure anybody that comes to us, we're doing a full analysis, like I was just saying, about the pre-approval process and setting you guys up for success, and kind of getting back to what Nick was saying too about like getting and Ida about getting offers accepted, is doing everything we can to help you in that process. Usually we'll call the listing agent as well, let them know we looked at everything. So we are here to help. And like Nick said, we're licensed only in the state of Minnesota. I think Yeah, we're just in Minnesota. We can do some like investment stuff in other states, but I think Michael can do. I'll let him comment on that. But I think he's in a few other states as well. So yeah.
Go ahead, Mr. Ben.
All right. Good morning, everybody. Mike, good to see you. My name is Ben Reda. I'm an insurance professional. I support this team when it comes to getting a mortgage and not getting that property insured. I'm specialized on auto, home, life, business, any insurance questions that you guys may have. I'm here to provide answers. If I don't know the answers, I know where to get them. So if you guys, I'll be here listening. Any questions in regards to insurance, whether it's on the home or especially here today, it's going to be on the home. I'm here to answer.
Perfect. Let's go, Mickey. Welcome.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. This is Michael. I'm a loan officer with Greenway Home Loans based in Washington, D.C. area. But we're licensed in a few other states. I had a chance to talk to Peter a while ago, probably a year ago or so. And it was really a good conversation. He explained a few things for me that I asked him. So it's good to see you finally here on TikTok. And Ida's been telling me that you guys are doing this in the mornings, but I've never had a chance to join. It's good to join you guys, but I would like to leave most of the things to you, as you have already started. The way you're doing it. So I don't want to disturb, but I will be here, and then whenever there is something that I can help with, I will be here commenting.
Thank you, Mickey. Thank you for all of you guys to be here. And with the only thing that I'm asking for my audience to do, to copy link and tap the screen for us. The reason being, it will lag, and also sometimes it will completely drop the guest off on me. So if you guys will be able to help us out, at least to push it to like 10,000 and then go on and on as much as you guys can. And plus, if you know that some of your friends or other people that that they wanted to buy house or any other stuff, it can be a car, it can be anything. So we are talking about budget. So this budgeting process will work with whomever is planning to do any investment on themselves. So budgeting, it's a huge thing for anyone who is, wanted to have a different journey. So I will ask question for all of you guys. What is budgeting to you guys? Like when, because especially with the mortgage brokers and loan officers here, when you help a client, what is the basic that you start to help them out to budget their money in order for them to go and accomplish their journey? So one of you guys.
So I would say, budgeting in the simplest form is, paying attention to where your money's going, what money's coming in, what money's going out. So, the simplest form of budgeting is making sure that more money is coming in than going out. So you're on a surplus, so to speak, and you can save. And then it can get a lot more complicated than that. Obviously, we are on the financial side of things. We understand budgeting pretty well. I'm assuming all of us, and probably even Ben too, as well as yourself. But, if you want to get super complicated, that's where you start to get financial advisors involved and things like that. So we're here to talk more about general and basic aspects of it. But all that to say, yes, is being probably the first thing, if you don't budget consistently, is just starting to pay attention to where your money's going. So there's a lot of ways to go about budgeting. It can get super complicated. I went to college for finance stuff, and I used to get very, very complicated with my budgeting. But you don't actually need to get very complicated unless you have a lot of money going to a lot of places and investments and assets and all of these other things. Usually it's easier to keep it simple. And then if you want to make it more complicated from there, you can. But I'd say the most basic aspect is starting to pay attention to how much is coming in, like from your paychecks after taxes, assuming that most people on here, the majority or all of your income is from your work. And then, again, don't look at your gross, because what goes to taxes is not going to come back to your pocket. I mean, you might get a little bit of a refund at the end of the year, but that's basically what's coming in. And then one thing that is usually pretty eye-opening for people if they're not budgeting consistently is even just going through your bank account and just looking at all the things you spend money on. And most banks these days too, they have their own kind of free budgeting tools right in there that will say like, okay, every month, and they'll even let you label things like every month I spent $500 on groceries or $5,000 on groceries, and you can break it down even by entries. So if you not to pick on anybody, but if you go to like get coffee every day and you're really struggling with your finances, but